So I wanted to make a video where I go over my drone rig that I've created to use it for ground filming. I've been really satisfied with the image quality of the X7, being able to shoot 6K ProRes RAW, 14-bit, and the capabilities of the Inspire 2 drone, being able to have two controllers, the way that it handles in the sky. It really allows me to achieve kind of any result, any idea that I would like. But it's come to a point where it's not worth it for me to only be using it when it's in the air because of the money investment that I put into this, plus the quality the camera combined with the gimbal stabilization. So in this video I want to go over how I've set this up and my impressions from this ground rig the way that I've been using it. And there are two really big points that come out. It's the flexibility and the quality. The camera and the sensor, 6K, and with the lens lineup from DJI as well. Those lenses are really, really great. I love the lens flares that I get out of them. The sharpness is spot on, and even at a 2.8 and on the longest lens, the 50mm lens, you can get some nice bokeh and some really nice fall off on your subjects. And then there's the flexibility. Using this as a ground rig has been kind of unreal because I can take this into almost any situation and just nail it. And it doesn't require a ton of extra work. I don't have to have a big crew. It just allows me to think of a shot and go for it and get it because of the dual monitor setup, because of the gimbal, because I can control the camera and fine-tune it exactly how I want it. So let me go over what equipment I'm using in this setup. First of all, you can see that I have this cage, or this kind of handle rig. This is the PolarPro Katana for the Inspire 2. And it's just really this arm contraption that clamps onto the legs and allows you, one, to kind of hold it like this, or like this, but it allows you to mount your controller on top, and that's been a really big asset because it's great to have, you can hold the Inspire just fine, but being able to see the image as the gimbal operator is critical. I have the DJI handle grips, which allow me to do an underslug kind of carry mode. You see that I have these I call them booties. I think they're kind of cute. These are actually from the LowePro backpack, carrying backpack for the Inspire 2. It's the one where the legs stick outside of the bag, and it's kind of precarious because you're worried that you're gonna, if you drop the bag or hit something, you'll break the legs. That bag comes with these little booties, and I actually put them on as a way to protect these motor mounts because these are plastic, and I've actually clipped them before and I've broken the plastic and I've had to replace them several times. So it's just a way to kind of streamline the look of this rig, but also to protect those motors and those motor mounts. I have been outside in rain and in snow with these, and so that's just a little extra protection there. I'm running with the Sendence controller. You can put in the stock Inspire 2 controller up there as well. There are a couple reasons why I have the Sendence up here that I'll get into, and then I have two Crystal Sky monitors, and then you see here that I have the DJI Focus Wheel, and I have it right now set up on the Inspire 2 controller. It can just as easily go on here if you just want a more all-in-one inclusive rig, and I've done that on a couple shoots, and it's really helpful. So you notice immediately when I have this turned on, you can hear that fan. And I'm going to go ahead with the things that I don't like about this rig to get them out of the way. And they're significant. This isn't a perfect rig, and there's a couple ways where DJI really could improve upon this. One of them is that fan. You can't turn it off. And most of the time that's been fine. A lot of my shoots have been outside, or we've been shooting sound separately. Thanks for the update. There have been a few scenes that we had to shoot that were indoors, and we had to get audio from the actors. And so this is just really a nuisance. It's just annoying. Like, just let us turn it off, even if it means we can only record 4 10 minutes, 15 minutes, even 5 minutes at a time. And what we ended up doing there, we had to pile up a bunch of blankets to block the sound. The fan lives right here, and so we had to block it, pile up a bunch of stuff, and you can still hear it after that, and then you just have to get really creative with pointing your boom mic away from this fan to really eliminate that noise. And it was possible, it's just wasn't comfortable to work like that. That's an easy fix that DJI can make. Speaking of software, the DJI software is buggy, and it's frustratingly buggy. It's not like, oh, that's just weird that it did that. It's like, from one day to the next, nothing's changed, and all of a sudden, the software won't allow the SSD to record to itself. Some stuff like that would happen when we're on set. I was using this rig as the principal camera for an indie feature film. So this was the camera. This wasn't the B cam. This wasn't, just the special cam. It was the camera. And it takes place up in the mountains, and we were going on long, long hikes. And we get to location, we're all set up, the actors are in place, and the SSD just decides, you know what, I'm not gonna record to myself. And it's just, I was infuriated in the moment. Right now I'm super calm about it, but it's just, stuff like that shouldn't happen with professional gear, especially when you're paying a lot of money for equipment that you have to be able to expect it to work every single time. So that's one thing. The software can get really buggy. And then the third thing I didn't really like, or that you have to work with, is if you're not careful, you can get that unnatural gimbal movement. Sometimes it's just from walking too hard, or it's just you kind of get a weird float because you're holding up a gimbal. And that's not necessarily the drone's fault or this rig's fault, that's just the nature of working with a gimbal. And there are probably ways to get around that, is being firmly planted, maybe even having an easy rig on top of this if you wanted to go really crazy. So those are the three things that really irked me. It's this fan, it's the buggy system that just like, come on DJI, it's uncalled for. And then thirdly, you still have to work with the gimbal sometimes to get the shot just right. So let's get into how I use this and where this thing really shined. So I really enjoyed using Descendants as the slave controller and the Inspire 2 controller as my master for a couple reasons. One, with this rig you can actually hold it from the controller. And I was doing shots running and tracking, and it's no big problem. But what I've done is I've mapped the control of the camera to my right stick. So as I'm walking around, I can actually follow and pan with my actors or with the action in the scene, no problem. And that just really enables some magnificent shots. There was one shot where I'm following the actor through the woods, and we're in probably 4 feet of snow. And you see the actor trudging through the snow, and I'm trudging through it too. You just can't tell from the footage. And it's a follow shot where I start down low, I come back up, I look at his face, I turn around the actor. There's a lot of movement, and I was able to do that just by myself. I didn't have a separate person controlling the camera, which we easily could have done with the second controller. So that's really unique, being able to have that type of control and precision and stabilization. With Descendants though, you can map, you have these slider trims on the side, you can map the gimbal speed to this trim. So this is why I have Descendants specifically on the drone, is with the trim is fully up, full speed, that's how fast my gimbal is right now, that's the sensitivity. And then I can bring it down all the way, and notice how slow it moves. It's a slow, slow crawl. And then I can tilt up, and it's just a slow, slow tilt up. It's moving very, very slowly. And what that allows me to do is, just like that really uncanny shot where there's just like an epically slow moving camera. It's almost unnoticeable, but it is moving. And that's a hard shot to do manually with your hands or even with a tripod. So it's nice to be able to exploit the precision of the gimbal to get those types of movements. And then, you know, with the trim, you can go anywhere in between, full stop or all the way down. So this is at 50%, you know, you can, for any shot, I could just fine tune it exactly to what I wanted and how fast I wanted that camera to move. And that was extremely helpful on set, specifically that indie feature film that I was working on. If I needed a shot to feel kind of dangerous and uncanny, I could slow down the camera and shoot with a wide lens. If I needed to be able to whip around between multiple subjects, I'd be at full speed with the gimbal. It was just really, really versatile. I've also used this on a couple commercial sets, shooting promotional pieces. The quality is there, you know, at 6K ProRes RAW. We end up choosing this camera because of its quality, and then we're really able to pull off some really technical shots with a lot of movement, with multiple subjects in the frame. We were filming airplanes that were grounded for a private jet company. We're moving around the airplane, holding the drone. There's actors coming in and out of the airplane. It's just a really technical shot, and it's amazing how fast we can pull things off, and we were able to get a result that would require a massive crew with dolly crew, people pushing the dollies, focus pullers, multiple people on camera, and it would take a couple hours to set up just that one shot. We could literally do it in 10 minutes with a couple rounds of practice, but this entire setup is all the equipment that we need. We could film something as complicated as that, or as simple as an interview or a dialogue. Again, the fan is a problem, but there are ways to work around that. I want to make a note about the stabilization of this gimbal as well. So this gimbal is a high performance gimbal. It has to handle a lot of G's when it's up in the air flying violently, and it stays on target and it doesn't drift. And additionally, the drone shakes so much. There's a lot, it's never totally still, even if it looks still. And the way that the drone counteracts those shakes are these rubber absorbers that and then the gimbal hangs from that. So that's actually a great advantage as well on the ground. So in addition to the gimbal that just works normally, any kind of weird movements that I would make, or if I was kind of shaky, maybe because I was hungry or tired or whatever, or maybe I just took an odd step, I noticed that those rubber absorbers would actually do the same thing that they're doing up in the air when the body of the drone is kind of moving funky. If I moved it kind of in a funny way, I could still keep the shot without ruining it. And it just really is kind of this extra layer of stabilization that you don't get with other gimbal rigs. You only have the 3-axis motors doing the stabilization, but with this one you have those shock absorbers giving you a little bit of extra butter, so to speak, in terms of your stabilization. And I've noticed that the stabilization on this versus using a Ronin rig is a lot more stable, and I can achieve very high precision shots a lot easier with this than I could with a typical Ronin rig. It was really nice as the director of photography during all these shoots that I've been doing with this rig, that I could hand this second controller off to either director or to the talent or to the focus puller. So it doubles as the director's monitor, as the video village, and as a dedicated monitor for the focus puller. This focus wheel performs really well, especially with these DJI lenses. I noticed that the minimum focus distance on all the DJI lenses is really, really close. I didn't measure it exactly, but I just was always impressed with, wow, this is a lens that's on a drone that usually always looks far away at its subjects, but I could bring in really close, and I could always rack from close up to infinity without an issue. It's always really smooth. And again, those lenses have an amazing fall off, what's in focus to what's blurred. I've been really pleased with the results of that. There are a couple times when I've put the focus wheel on this, and I'll sometimes put it on this side or this other side, and I can actually, if I had the focus wheel here, I can actually control camera and pull focus at the same time. Strenuous on my arms, but it is possible. So you can run and gun all you want, just like this, or you can split it up with the focus separate. There's also a couple times where this second monitor someone would be controlling the movement of the camera. Again, you can see where that's really useful. And I think this is just kind of shows the flexibility of this system. That always kept coming up in all the shoots, in the indie film shoot that I was doing, in the commercial shoots that I was doing, and then I did a spec shoot with a model. And you wouldn't realize that this was shot on a drone, because there are no flying shots, there's no crazy like gimbal dolly tracking shots or anything like that. It's all kind of close up and some racks in and out and camera movements. Or I was really impressed with the flexibility that this drone can do while on the ground. And then don't forget that, you know, there were a few aerial shots that we would need when we're on the indie film shoot, and I would just simply pull off this Katana, put on some props, and all of a sudden we can get any aerial shot that we want. So the flexibility is just, it's really kind of otherworldly, what you can do and how fast you can do it. I've been really impressed with this. I've invested so much into this system that I just wanted to get even more out of it, that I wanted to be able to use it for more than just flying. And I've definitely been able to do that. There are some quirks that I have to work around, the fan, the buggy system, and you know, just learning how to work really well with a handheld gimbal. But it's a really powerful system. So that's been my experience. I'm hoping to do some more videos about the stuff that I'm using and the equipment that I'm using. Feel free to ask me questions. I'm all about learning from other people learning from me, and we're just producing our best work. Thanks for watching.